All right. Good evening, Free Credit Repair Advice Group, and good evening, CrediTV subscribers. Good evening to the Credilife VIP members. I'm Jeremy Deysach, FICO certified Credilife coach, coming to you this Valentine's Day Eve and also Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras. So for those of you who are not out celebrating, you're the last night of drunken debauchery before Lent. You might want to jump off of Facebook Live now. But for those of you who are in and do want to take part in this question and answer session, we're going to do a live Q&A. Basically, is credit breaking your heart? What's going on with your credit? What credit questions do you have? For those of you who have not subscribed to CrediTV on YouTube, our channel, it's CrediTV, CREDITV on YouTube. Give it a like, give it a follow, and you can watch all of our Facebook Live videos. Oh, looks like I'm tied up there. There we go. All of our Facebook Live videos. You can watch educational videos we have there and ongoing content for the Free Credit Repair Advice Group and for people in the credit community who are looking to get better credit scores, better credit profiles. So ask me your FICO questions, FICO score questions, ask your credit repair questions, your debt settlement questions, your cascading versus snowballing questions, your credit machine questions. Tonight we're doing basically an open topic, open line for you. Basically it's just, is your heart broken by your credit? If so, go ahead and ask. This is your chance to get straight answers from a FICO certified credit coach. Also, those of you who have not, I'm going to give a little plug for our Haiti mission. Those of you who have not given yet to our Haiti mission, it's coming along great. We're going to have our own missionary, actually from the group, on the ground in Haiti, and we found an opportunity to feed actually feed starving children for 25 cents per child per day. So if you give, $6 that you would normally spend on a Starbucks, you are going to feed a child that would literally otherwise die for 24 days. So that's huge. Hopefully, it would be great if one of our moderators could drop the link for that. There we go, the GoFundMe on the Healing Haiti mission trip. And one thing we're doing is 100% of the money is going to getting our missionary there, who is going to bring clothes, resources, going to be training teachers, and going to be able to, through a partnership with Feed My Starving Children, going to be able to feed a lot of kids there. So it's going to be a huge thing. So I want to start off, welcome everybody for coming in. The group's filling up a little bit. Let's start off with some questions. Joseph Abbott asks, how do I get my FICO score? Is it the same as what I see on Credit Karma? Great question. I get this one a lot. No, what's on Credit Karma is basically part of 2 credit reports. It doesn't even give you all 3 credit reports. The scoring model is the Vantage scoring model. It's different than the FICO scoring model. It's a consumer-facing scoring model used by almost no one. FICO is used by over 90% of all lending institutions in the United States. So FICO is the important one. Now the big question, how do I get my FICO score? The only way to get your real, true lending FICO score, not your FACO score as we call them, is to apply for credit. The score you're getting through My FICO is a consumer-facing score. Scores that you're getting through Credit Karma or any other site are going to be Vantage, or as I call them, FICOs or FACO scores. So that's the answer for you there. Great question. Let's see. How do I get student loans? It's Kwamika. How do I get student loans off of my credit report? Okay. Few different things you can do. Number one, if you have negative student loans reporting on your credit, what you want to do is start off by getting into a rehabilitation program. Rehabilitation program's pretty cool. They require you to make payments for a number of months in a row. You are then able, if you wish, to consolidate those student loans into a lower interest rate. You can do income-based repayment programs. You may even be in an industry that qualifies to have your student loans forgiven. We've got a number of people at Credilife that we have helped with that have had anywhere between $30,000, and I've got one client who had $170,000 worth of student loans forgiven. My daughter, in fact, Katie Deysach, our missionary, my daughter just graduated from from St. Mary's University in Minnesota, private school, and she is a first-year teacher this year of a second grade class, and she is on track to have her entire private school tuition forgiven through the forgiveness program. Now, here's the thing. It's going away. You are not going to have the opportunity after a couple months from now to get into it. So anyone who's getting into it now will be grandfathered. So if you're looking for income-based, if you're looking for these things, there's no money in any congressional budget. If you love Democrats, Republicans, anybody, nobody could have passed something that would continue to fund these relief programs because there was no money for it. They basically threw their arms up and said, student loan relief for everyone, without talking about who is going to pay for it. And there is no money for it, so they're going away. So I recommend you act now and get going on student loans. So the big question, how do I get them off of my credit? That's why I went into this long diatribe about them. Number one, if you've got a negative student loan history, if you can get them away from those servicers that have them now and into the hands of some fresh servicers, you can go back and through investigation letters, verifying with the credit bureaus, you can go ahead and oftentimes have those deleted when they are not verified and validated. In that circumstance, you want to take the student loan servicing company, be them Great Lakes or Navient or whomever. You want to get their skin out of the game so they no longer have a reason to verify, to validate, to document that it's accurate, factual, current, correct, or verifiable today. Not back when they reported it, but today. Reason we want to do this, if they can't verify, validate, and document that it's actual, factual, correct, current, verifiable today, then by law it gets permanently deleted, gone from the credit profile like it never happened. So this is a multi-step situation where you can get yourself into a lower payment, possibly set up for forgiveness, rehabilitate the loans so they're not doing things like taking your tax returns, get them in with a new servicer at a nice lower rate, take the old servicer's skin out of the game, and through investigation letters that you can either have done professionally by the folks here at Credilife or yourself through the files section up at the top of the group. We have a sample investigation dispute letter. You can utilize that as well. If you use those things, it'll give you the opportunity and your best chance of getting those deleted. All right, great questions. Awesome questions. Thank you so much for that, Kwamika. All right, Joseph says, so how do I get it, Joseph? You apply for credit. Don Dean says, before this group, I set up payment arrangements with a closed credit card account. I'm still making payments on it. Can I still send the letters and try to get it off my report, or do I wait till I'm done paying it off? Yeah, I would go ahead and I would send the letters to the bureaus, not to whom you're making payments. Also, if you're getting a tax refund, this is the time of year that even though you're in a repayment plan, you may want to call them up and see if they'll take an even lower amount than you continue to owe in a lump sum payment to pay it off in full. Doesn't hurt to ask them for a pay for delete while you're on the phone with them. They don't hand them out very often, but it doesn't hurt. But yes, Don, you absolutely can do verification letters to the bureaus without interfering. If you start sending 609 letters to the collection agency, you may irritate them, you may violate the agreement you've got with them, and we don't want you to do that. Laura Shaw says, Don, after you pay it off, ask to delete if they don't dispute. Citibank and Laura Shaw says Citibank and Discover will give you your FICO. Laura, you're wrong. The FICO score they give you is a consumer-facing profile. It is not your lending score. We do have a student loan group. Thank you for posting that, Mark. We have a group specifically for student loan questions, and we have a dedicated coach, Tyler, who is handling student loan questions. So that's also another opportunity for you. Sandy says, hi, I received a medical statement today from a collection agency with my name and address and how much I owe as verification. What would be the next step? Okay. What's kind of neat is for that is verification, it's not validation. So if you use a 609 letter and you specifically ask for validation, that's not validation. Validation is original copies. You're never going to get a wet ink signature. Don't ask for one. You're wasting your time. They don't owe it to you. But copies showing terms of the agreement, copies showing what it is they're billing you for. Me saying you owe me $50 is one thing. Me showing a breakdown where you and I entered into a deal where you're going to pay me $50 for something, that's a whole different animal. So if it is in the case of medical, oftentimes you're not signing things when you get there. You're literally going in there. You step into the doctor's office or that room. That's you accepting services. services, whether you like it or not, whether you want to accept it or not. That is you accepting services. So a breakdown of the services that were performed for the money, that's usually a pretty reasonable thing for that. So I would follow up and say, hey, thanks for the neat letter, but that's also not validation. I'd like you to please validate it. Sarah says, can you elaborate on what to do for late payments for a car loan that's been closed for a few years? Husband went to boot camp, forgot to set up auto pays before you knew him. Okay, fair enough. So what do you do for an auto loan that's been closed for a few years? Honestly, it's the same thing. Verification, validation, documentation. Verify with the bureaus, and you can go ahead and you can do things like a 609 letter or something like that with the collection agency. Now, if the collection agency isn't bugging you, if they're not hitting you up for the money, if there hasn't been a repo, or if the repo happened a while ago, and you're getting towards the statute of limitations, you may not want to rock the boat with the 609 letter to them. You might want to just do investigation letters with the bureaus. And remember, if they're not verified, validated, and documented in a pre-prescribed time frame, then by law they're deleted from the profile. There you go, Sarah. All right. Alvin says, well, I'm in the program, but the student loan is extra, right? Yeah, if you want us to do the student loans, it's a totally different animal. We work with the FSA IDs. It's a whole different thing. But yeah, we do have a student loan program available as well. I need that student Credilife jacket in my life, Cindy Jo says. Yeah, this is my this is one of my hoodies with the monogrammed, the stitched monogram Credilife. All I'm gonna say is coming soon, Credilife swag. Just watch the group. All right. TJ says, I see child support shows on credit report. Does it affect anything credit score-wise? It can. If they're reporting late or derogatories, yeah, it'll affect your score. Otherwise, it looks like an installment loan, but they typically don't like to put it on there because until they're trying to squeeze you for it. So they'll put derogatories, lates, things like that. So yes, it does affect. You approach it the exact same way. Verifications, validation with the bureaus. And if it's for an arrears balance, or if it's for past due child support. Once you get caught up on the past due child support, immediately hit up the county, tell them, hey, I'm current, I want that deleted from my profile, and they'll typically do it. Actually, one of our moderators, Tiffany, is a great person to talk about that. When she's not moderating for us, she works in the public sector in that. Cynthia says, okay, so I co-signed for someone on a loan. They didn't pay it. It went to collections. The person stopped paying their agreed upon payment arrangement. Now they're coming after me. What should I do? Congratulations, it's yours. I wish I had better news for you. If you co-sign on a loan, you're taking on equal responsibility. Hold on one second. We got 1 second. I'm going to just close the door. All right. Yeah, we still have coaches here. We still have coaches here doing consultations and doing coaching calls with people. So sometimes it gets really super wicked loud here. Okay, so let's see. Where was I? Co-sign for the loan. So here's the deal. If they're coming after you, quite frankly, it's yours. You have to deal with it. You can try to pay it, sue the other person. You can try to squeeze them so they make the payments. Not a lot that you can do, unfortunately. It really, truthfully, when you co-sign, it's equal rights, equal responsibility on an account. I wish I had better news for you there. Sarah says, thanks. Sarah, you're welcome. Jasmine Kennedy says, okay, what are some reputable companies for student loan debt consolidation? I'm a big fan of a company called Credilife, financial wellness company for student loan consolidation. Realistically, though, we've got hundreds of years of combined experience in credit restoration, credit development, student loan, and things like that. Talk to us. If nothing else, do a consultation, see if you like us, see if you're comfortable. If not, don't hire us. If you like us, hire us. Unfortunately, there are a lot of other companies that are like super shady out there. I'd like to take your advice, get them from Navient, and start with a new lender. Amen. The CEO, Jasmine, the CEO of Navient was made to testify in front of the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. He said, when asked, why aren't you presenting all of the available options for student loan relief and help and consolidation, he said, we're a business. The borrowers are on their own. So I don't blame you one bit for wanting to get them away from Navient. Yeah, we'd be thrilled to talk to you. Set up a consultation, talk to Tyler, talk to Jared. Any of our coaches here that deal in student loans would be thrilled. To talk to you. Patrick, I'm a current Credilife client and wondering if I need to sign up for student loan consolidation or is it covered in the program? Okay, it is not included in the program. Talk to your coach, Patrick, and your coach will tell you, number one, if it's probably an appropriate thing for you. Number two, though, when in the process you want to do it, because everyone's credit situation is so different. It's like a fingerprint. You can be married to somebody. You could have been married for 20 years. You guys could have joint accounts together and you'll have different scores, different profiles. It's just the nature of the beast. So because everyone's profile is different, and because everybody's goal is different, we don't always recommend that people tackle things at the same time or handle things in the same way. Everything's custom tailored in the Credilife program to your individual situation, your individual needs, your individual abilities and means, and really at the end of the day, where are you at? What are you looking to accomplish? So talk to your coach on it. But yeah, it could be anything from us advising you of what to go do yourself to you might want to retain us to do it for you. We're happy to do that either way. Jasmine Kennedy, also, how's a credit score calculated when it's time to purchase a home or a vehicle? When I've asked in the past, car dealership and realtors said student loans aren't factored into the score. Oh, bless their hearts. I think that's how they say it down south. Jasmine, yes, student loans are unequivocally, without exception, factored into your score. Factored into your profile 100% of the time. Okay. All right. Ray Marie says, I just got started with you guys. What are some helpful tips for new clients? Check your mail. Check your email. Make sure you add yourcredilife.com to the to your approved emails. Definitely make sure you schedule your coaching calls every 45 days. Quite frankly, you're paying for them. Take advantage of them. Listen to your coach. Don't argue with your coach because they're right. And guess what? Even if they don't seem like they're right, they're probably still right. And also, if you have not joined the Credilife VIP group on Facebook, this gives you 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. guaranteed access to a FICO certified credit coach Monday through Friday. And quite frankly, we're on all the rest of the time, but we're not going to promise you our nights and weekends, but we're still around to answer questions. But it's literally 100%, spam free, people who are quite serious about their credit repair and are in the same boat as you and have retained coaches. It's one more resource. Otherwise, stay the course. The other thing, Katie will be happy that I'm telling you this one. Do not refresh your identity. If you're using Identity IQ or whatever other credit monitoring, don't refresh your own credit report. Let them do it, because when the time comes to make the next round of investigation letters, they'll always have the latest, the greatest, and the best intact data. That's my advice. All right, Darren says, hey, what's the best way to get out of an underwater car loan? Value's about 6, loan amount's about 13. Few different things you can do. Number one, unfortunately, suck it up. That's one of them. Number two, you can trade the car in at a dealership on a newer vehicle. Normally, you have to do it on a new vehicle, but oftentimes with a margin like that, it's about a $7,000 difference. Sometimes on a car, they can put that into the new loan, and then essentially it's broken out over 48, over 60, or over 72 months, normal payments. Otherwise, sell it for what you can and pay off the difference. But that's about what a guy can do on something like that, Darren. Carrie says, when a credit bureau responds to your investigation request with outcome remains, the company that reported the information has certified that it's accurate. Okay. When they do that, basically you're going to ask about another aspect. Maybe you asked about, can you verify that I was 30 days late? Well, this time you might be asking about the account number or ownership or something like that. At the end of the day, there are 27 different aspects that can be verified, validated, and documented. And they correspond with 27 different condition codes or dispute codes at the bureaus. Now, professionally, we know what they are, and we know how to write directly and succinctly and specifically to get the ones you're looking for. But with that, there's a whole median of different, or a whole range of different information you can ask about. So when you look at your credit report, you might see something that's wrong or something that's inconsistent, something that doesn't make sense, something that looks a little bit weak, or something you just want to ask. Hey, they're saying that I was 30 days late in November of 2016. Well, prove it. Okay, you're saying this about me, you're putting this on my report, prove it. Maybe it comes back as verified, but then you look and you see the payment status might say 30 days late. Well, then prove that payment status is 30 days late. That's different than a late down below. So you continue it up, multiple rounds of investigations. I always say you didn't get into credit trouble overnight. Unfortunately, you're not going to get out of credit trouble overnight either. It's a process. Every round of investigations takes about 45 days. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Erica says, what company or companies do the credit bureaus use to verify inquiries? The actual companies that inquired. They actually go back to them and say, hey, did you inquire? And they said, yep. So there you go. There's the newsletter. Identity IQ, got lots of good stuff. Susan says hi. I say hi, Susan. Tiffany says you never want to mess with Katie. No, she'll hurt you. Don't ever mess with Katie. She is our she's the goddess of the processing. She's our paralegal who does the rounds of investigation. You don't mess with Ms. Katie. Absolutely. Jorge Jimenez says, what about various late payments on an auto loan? Well, number one, I'm going to say what about them? But number two, my guess is you're asking what do you do about something like that? What you want to do is you want to approach the bureaus. You always want to start by investigating with the credit bureaus. Always start with the credit bureaus and always start with the credit bureaus. And if that doesn't work, always start with the credit bureaus, okay? What you want to do is either use the sample investigation letter from the file section of the group here in the free credit repair advice group, and you want to verify, you want to validate, you want to put the burden of proof into the hands of this car company that has reported these negatives, these late payments about you. And you can ask about each and every one of them. It's a cool thing. You go after all of them. And you're going to send a letter to Equifax and to Experian and TransUnion. And you're going to say, prove it was late. You're going to say, prove it was me. Prove it was my account number. Prove this was the dollar amount. Prove this is the balance. Prove it, prove it, prove it, prove it, prove it. You're going to, it's like cross-examining a witness. You're going to send it a letter, you get an answer. And then you ask another question, you're going to get an answer. And you're going to hit away at this thing. And if you find the aspect, if you find the whatever that they either don't verify within the prescribed time frame or they're unable to verify and validate, boom, gets deleted. Now, in that circumstance, if it's a lot of negative on that car loan, you're going to demand in the letter that the car loan be deleted, okay? But if it's 2, 3, 4 lates and it's otherwise a good loan, you're going to ask that it be repaired to no longer reflect those late payments, okay? So what you're doing in that circumstance is the outcome. Instead of getting it deleted, you're looking for a repair, and a repair is where they take a negative account and they flip it into a positive account. So instead of being something derogatory and taking points away from your score, it actually becomes positive and it adds points and it builds your profile. So you can do that. So, a good rule of thumb I like to use is 1 to 3 lates. I'm looking for a repair, at least early on. 4 or more lates, I'm usually looking for a deletion. Hopefully that helps. Let's see what else we got. Carrie says, thank you. I appreciate all your help. Well, Carrie, thank you. I appreciate you being a member. Darren says, can we buy Credilife swag or do we have to win it? I'm just going to say, coming soon, hashtag Credilife swag. All right. Sarah says, hard inquiries affect your score for 1 year and stay on for 2. You are spot on, Sarah. You got it. All right. Every hard inquiry, when you apply for credit, when you're having your FICO score pulled, or I call it your more score, because you want more car, more money, more shopping opportunity, more house, more job, more background check passing, more whatever. Okay. Whenever they pull your FICO score, a hard inquiry, okay, it's going to cost you between 5 and 15 points off your credit score. Okay. Now, that inquiry stays visibly on your credit report for 2 years, 24 months, but it only affects your score for 12 months, okay? So while it impacts your score for 12, it's decorative for the final 12, all right? Now, here's the thing. There are some shopping windows built into the FICO algorithm with the latest incarnations of the FICO algorithm. These shopping windows have a fancy name. They're called anti-duo duping. But just think of them as a shopping window. There are 3 categories that will give you a shopping window. One is mortgages. Okay, the other is automotive loans, and the other is student loans. And you can't blend them up. It's either car or house or student loan. And the way this anti-duo duping, the way that this whole shopping window works is like this. You can have unlimited automotive or unlimited mortgage or unlimited student loan inquiries within a 30-day period. And then what happens is 15 days following the end of the 30-day period, they go back and they only count them as one Equifax, one Experian, and one TransUnion inquiry. So when you go to the car dealer and you apply and they shotgun your credit off to 30 different places who do an inquiry, they come back and they get you the best deal. That used to be a bad thing. In fact, it used to be predatory because they would shotgun your credit out. The finance department would to all those places, and they knew that because of the hit you just took on your credit, you couldn't go across the street from the Chevy dealership to the Ford dealership and qualify there. They had torpedoed your score and they've got you. So what used to be a nasty predatory sales technique has been flipped through anti-duo duping. It's been flipped through the shopping window. Now they're your advocate. It's actually best to go to the dealership. They've got the access to the most programs. And who used to be your enemy is now your friend because they're going to shop for you and get you that best deal using anti-duo duping, using that shopping window. Hopefully that helps. All right. Oh, by the way, when that happens, you'll still see all those inquiries. It just counts as a smaller amount. Mark says, should I send my 609 letters at the same time I send my investigation letters? Mark, you can do that. Only send them to collection agencies. Don't send them if you're in the midst of negotiating a pay for deletion or if you're in a repayment program already with them, like we talked about earlier, because you don't want to interfere with those things. But yes, you can send them simultaneously. When I say always, 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 always start with the credit bureau, I'm talking that that's going to be your primary point of focus first and foremost. If you do nothing else, you send the investigation letters to those bureaus. Zuma says, good evening all. Hi. Hey, good to see you. All right. Monsi says, thanks for all you do. Donations been made to the GoFundMe. Awesome. You have just fed starving children, literally. Cheryl says, hi. Hey, good to see you. Tiff Lee says, any advice, repos on your credit? Okay, repossessions on your credit. If you still owe money on that repo and it's within the statute of limitations for them to come after you to collect, if they can legally still do that, don't 609 letter the company. Okay, do not 609 letter the company if they can still come after you right now. Start out and simply do investigation letters with the credit bureaus. Now, if the repossession has taken place and it's no longer within the statute of limitations, or if it's not a big chunk of money, then you can go ahead and do investigations to the credit bureaus, 609 style validation letters to the automotive finance company and to the collection bureau. That's my advice. All right. Here we've got Erica asking, is it better to get a car loan through your bank or the dealership itself? Ultimately, you want to get the best rates you can, but I'm a big fan of the dealership because they can use shotgunning in that credit window to get you the best overall together rates. All right. Susan says, is there a high limit interest rate that can be applied to a car loan if you've got bad credit? Yes, some states do have a usury law, which is a maximum interest rate allowed within the state. Susan, I know you're in Minnesota. We can double check that for you off the top of my head. I'm not sure what it is, but literally you should be able to get sky miles for how high the damn thing is. But yeah, in most states there are maximum usury rates. Chris says, if you've got a credit builder loan that'll mature in the fall, should you get a second one a month or two before it matures to avoid the drop when it comes off? Well, if you're using specifically self-lender, you're only allowed to have one of them at a time. If you're flip-flopping between, say, self-lender and the credit union or something like that, yeah, then you can do the overlap. It's not going to kill you to just do them kind of end-to-end. Myself, I've been using self-lender as a Christmas account. I've got it set to mature at the end of October so that after 10 business days, when it takes them to get me the money, or if they auto-deposit it, which I'm going to do, I think, the next time because it goes a little quicker, I don't know. I've got the money before Black Friday, and I just open one up right away when it's matured and when it's over. Hopefully that answered your question. Carrie says, one more question. When an item is deleted, is it permanent as long as the reporting creditor holds the debt? Yes, it is supposed to be permanent. Let me give you the exception. Let's see, meaning they can't re-report it. Okay, so here's what happens. And great question. What for the rest of you, what Carrie's asking is, if something gets deleted, and it's deleted from the company that has it. Let's say it's Midland Funding, one of the biggest collection agencies in the United States. You've gotten it deleted because they couldn't verify and validate in time. As long as Midland hangs on to it, they can't put it back onto your credit. Okay, so here's where it gets sticky, all right? If you investigate online through Credit Karma or directly through the bureaus and you do online investigations, you give up a number of your consumer rights. One of the main ones is that they can literally reinsert it the next month without giving you any warning. You've given up the right to having that thing gone forever. That's a hell of a thing. That's one of the reasons we jump all over you in the group if you talk about investigating online. The other thing is, okay, so they can put it on. They have to give a 5-day written warning in compliance with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. There's a whole ton of regulations they have to do. So typically, like in my experience, almost without exception, almost, it will never show up through the same creditor. It can. They have to send you written note. Trust me, you'll know if it's happening. Now, so let's say we do an investigation, right, guys? We're sending off our letters. Something gets deleted from the credit profile. It doesn't mean the debt's gone. If you owe $1, you still owe $1. So what Carrie had asked about or kind of alluded to is Midland could turn around and sell that debt that hasn't been recovered, sell that debt that's been deleted to, say, portfolio recovery. And portfolio recovery can now report that back on your credit. They're a completely different creditor. So what I always tell people is once a debt gets deleted from the credit profile, it's time to strike. It's time to attack. You want to negotiate a settlement. And there's really never been a better time to negotiate a settlement. They've already lost their right to getting to report to your credit. They've lost the right to hold your credit hostage. So you're holding a lot of the strength at that point in time, and that can work in your favor in a negotiation. Awesome question, Carrie. All right, Jason says, have you ever seen a student loan 90 days late removed from credit reports? Yeah, frequently. Every week I see that happen. Cheryl says, I purchased a home in 2002, did a mod in 07. Credit reporting, reading the report shows that it was purchased in 7, not enough. History based on balance. Purchase song. Okay, I'm having so I guess what are you asking? Are you saying that it's showing on the report, or you're wondering if it's showing on the report? I want some clarification on that one, Cheryl. Debbie says, how do I get a bankruptcy off my credit? It was discharged 4 years ago. Verification letters to the credit bureaus. Verify, validate the aspects, demand verification that the bankruptcy account number is right, the discharge stays right. Verify. Bankruptcies and public records, they're at the same mercy as anything else to having to verify, validate, and document. All right. Good question. Nay says, should you dispute hard inquiries you currently have loans from? No. It's pointless. Really, inquiries only factor into a 10% slice of the FICO algorithm. It is the least important thing to deal with in credit repair. Professionally, we typically don't even address them. It's not worth it. It's a waste of time. Okay. Donate to Haiti. Rock and roll. Thanks, Mark. All right. I'm the only one signed up for credit building, but I want to do budgeting with my husband. Can we both do that? Sure. Yes, you can. Don says, is there a difference in how we approach a new collection agency if we're still within the 30-day period? Yeah, if you can negotiate a settlement during that 30-day initial period before they list it on your credit, that's optimum. You want to try to get in before they actually post it to your credit. Danielle says, if you dispute online a year or so ago, comes back verified, and the consumer disagrees, language. Can you send off the file? Yeah, you can still investigate. You get the right to continue investigating. Just pound on them, basically. And if they say they don't have to do it, pound on them again. Say, yeah, you do. I got rights. I know what they are. Even if you don't know what they are, say you know what they are. They don't know. Here's the beauty of this whole damn thing. The burden of proof is on them. It's not on you. There's the express audit, Mark. Thank you much. Michelle Alexander says, I was recently past due on a loan and want to know the best route to get those points back. Pay it off ASAP or in 6 months? Well, really the best way to get the points back is to investigate. If you've only ever been late once and you've had the loan for a while, you can try a good faith letter. Usually I say that in an origami class will let you make a swan out of the good faith letter. That's usually all they're good for, but it never hurts to try. Basically, though, paying it off ASAP isn't going to make that late payment disappear. It's still going to be there. So, I would investigate. I'd investigate with the credit bureaus. That's going to be the best bet. Laura says, when negotiating a settlement, what percentage amount should you negotiate? Totally depends. Also, should you request a pay for deletion as part of the negotiation? Sure. Always ask for a pay delete. The worst thing they'll tell you is no. They don't have to do it, by the way. It violates their agreement with the credit bureaus, and they usually will not put it in writing for you, but ask for it. When negotiating a settlement, what percentage should you negotiate? Literally as little as they will take. I don't go with percentages. I go with what I can afford. That's kind of a small amount and sort of an odd number. So I'll say, let's say you owe $1,000. I call them up and go, I can give you $383.20. And they'll go, the collection guy will grab the calculator and go, wait, that's 38.2%. Where'd you come up with that number? And say, that's the refund check I got. Do you want it or should I pay the other bill? Chances are they want it. So that's how I would approach that. Jason said, thanks for responding about the removal in 90 days. How should I go about getting a pesky thing off my reports? Verification letters to the bureaus. That's how, Jason. You can use the sample letter in the files section of the group, or if you want to hire the SWAT team, you can use Credilife. Don says it's already on my credit report. Okay, if it's already on your credit report, how you should handle it, verification to letters to the bureaus and validation 609 letter to the collection agency. Don. Nay says, if you're under contract for mortgage, can you dispute stuff on your report? Yep. I close in the summer and don't want anything to hold up final approval. Okay, actually having an investigation letter will hold up final approval, or investigation language on your credit report will hold up final approval. So what you have to do is a good month before they pull their final credit or before final approval. You're going to want to call up the bureaus, call Equifax, call Experian, and call TransUnion. Sit through their horrible hold times and talk to the potentially inarticulate people on the other end of the phone. And you're going to say, look, I do not contest or dispute or investigate anything on my bureau. I want all investigation remarks and language removed from the bureaus because I demand that you do this because I do not dispute anything. And the reason you're going to do that is you'll get kicked out of underwriting and downgraded to a manual underwrite if you've got dispute language. So that will hold it up. All right. Becky says, I didn't verify and set up payment plans as the creditors. I didn't verify and I set up payment plans, but that hurt my score. What's the best fix? Well, now it's already happened. So either see if you can lump sum do it, try to negotiate a pay for delete, or start hitting everything with the investigation letters to the bureaus. Nay says, thanks so much for your insight. Hey, Nay, you're welcome. Thanks for being part of the group. Ray says, should I pay on a credit card debt that's on my credit and affecting me negatively? Well, it depends. What's your goal, Ray? So here's the thing. If you pay from purely a credit standpoint, if you pay on an older collection that's reporting negatively on your credit report, your credit score will actually drop. It won't go up, it'll drop. Here's why. What happens is when you pay this thing, this negative, it's still going to be a negative. It's just going to be a paid negative. But you're going to give new activity to an already negative account. You're going to create a new DOLA, a new date of last activity that brings that negative activity current, and that will, again, drop your credit score. So the question becomes, well, what do I do? If I leave it, it's bad. If I pay it, it's bad. I'm going to say this. From strictly a credit restoration standpoint, while paying on that debt is a step in the process, it's not necessarily the first step. The first step is verify, validate, investigate. You want to investigate with the bureaus, put the burden of proof for the negative, the burden of proof for the lates into their hands. And if they can't verify, validate, and document that it's accurate and factual and current, correct, and verifiable today, not back when it happened, it'll get deleted. Gone from the credit profile. That's when you pay it off, okay? So while I'm not telling you not to pay your bills, because that would be terrible advice, what I'm telling you is while paying on it is a step in the process, it's just not necessarily the first step. Hope that helped. Randy Marie says, you said after something's removed from your credit report, you need to negotiate a settlement. Do I do it with the collection agency or whoever owns the debt? Well, if it's the collection agency, they own the debt. It's whoever owns the debt right now. So if a collection agency's got it 9 out of 10 times, the original creditor has no say in the matter anymore. They sold that sucker. So you negotiate with whoever you just got deleted. Cheryl says, yeah, it's showing as a new loan and payment not enough to bring the balance down based on time of the loan. Loan with original lender 15 years ago and transferred 3 times. Why is showing that way? Yeah, I got nothing. I don't know what you mean by a new loan and payment not enough to bring balance down based on time of loan. Are you saying you owe more than the number of months remaining and the payment you're required to make? If that's the case, sometimes they'll have forgiven some of the principal, but you have to make payments on it for a set number of years in a mortgage modification. Depends if you took a HAMP, a HARP. It's absolutely impossible to tell without doing a full credit analysis on you, Cheryl. Michelle says, thank you. Well, you're welcome. Danielle says, hello, thank you for the answer. Well, you are welcome as well. Zinnia says, hello, I've got an old hospital bill from 2012, and now collection agencies just started calling me. Should I make an arrangement with them? Well, I'll tell you what. It depends entirely on the statute of limitations in your state for the actionability on a collection item. So here's the deal. It's from 2012, so they can still report that sucker until 2019, but it may not be legally collectible in your state. So it depends entirely on your goal, if your goal requires you to pay it or not. If they can report it to your credit, but maybe it's $1,000 and you know you can sit a year and you don't have to pay it because they can't sue you, well, maybe that's what you want to do. But if that item on your report is holding you back from being able to accomplish what you want when it comes to your credit, be it financing something or a background check, well then, yeah, you'll want to negotiate a settlement with them. I realize I just gave you 2 answers, but it all comes down to what's the statute of limitations in your state for actionability and what are your goals. Ray says, should I take a settlement on a bill? It depends on your goals. It depends if it's showing up on your credit, what's reporting, and how it's reporting. That's one of those things where, if I got to look at a credit report, I'd be able to give you a much more specific answer. Jason says, I'm paying off a judgment with monthly payments that me and the creditor agreed on. I'm afraid since I'm almost paid off, it might hurt my credit once the judgment's removed. Am I wrong? Yeah. Yeah, you're wrong. Pay it off. Thanks, Jeremy Cheryl. You are welcome. Tiff says, does being added as an authorized user really help boost score? No! It'll help boost your Vantage score, your FICO score, the one nobody uses. So if that's exciting to you, go for it. Otherwise, in the 2 latest incarnations of the FICO algorithm, authorized user accounts aren't factored into the scoring model. Also, if you go to buy a major purchase, particularly, let's say, a home, the underwriting guidelines for Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA, and all government-backed loans require that the underwriter disallow or literally take out that authorized user account from all consideration. So if it's being used to raise your score, you're screwed. If in your mind, if it's being used to add the number of trade lines you need to meet the minimum account requirement, you're screwed. If you're using it to determine your depth of credit history or age of credit, you're screwed. Also, if you're being added as an authorized user to an account for the sole purpose of qualifying for financing you wouldn't otherwise be qualified for, congratulations, you just committed bank fraud. So I hope that answers your question. All right. Let's see what else we got going on. Nay says, is there anything I can do to raise my score in the next 3 months before final pull? Yeah, pay all your balance to limit ratios down to 1 to 3% on every single credit card you've got. If you've got a credit card you haven't used in a while, make a 1% to 3% limit spend on it. Everything has a zero balance. That's negative. Just a lot. Yeah, if you've got things with a zero balance that are negative, do investigation letters to the bureaus. Just had a collection drop me from the 7s to 5s, and after a month of payment, it's in the low 6s, but now my credit sucks for getting a good rate. What should I do? Investigate, investigation letters with the bureaus. And if you got something big coming up, like you're getting a mortgage, you might want to hire professionals, because that's a pretty dangerous one to put into your own hands. Jamie, thanks. Well, you're welcome. Susan says, I keep getting bills from credit card companies that I closed and can't pay. Should I do anything other than filing them? No, if you can't do anything with them, sit on them. Donna said, is there a credit report client that has too bad of a record to take you as a client? No. Worst credit I've ever seen was in the low 300s, and after a very long time, I'm still working with that gentleman, and he closes on his mortgage in May. What are trade lines? Okay, trade lines in themselves are any account that shows up on your credit report. It's an industry term. It means a line of trade. An installment loan, a revolving account, anything. A student loan's a trade line. A credit card's a trade line. Even your child support's a trade line, okay? So everything that's on your credit is a trade line. What's meant by it in the way that people say, hey, can I be an authorized user on a trade line? That means getting added to somebody else's credit card in an attempt to use their credit history as your own, have it show up so you can fool someone into giving you money you don't qualify for otherwise. So that's what a trade line is there. What do you say about bank fraud? I said this: if you use an authorized, if you are an authorized user on somebody's account, and that history gets added to your score, and you use that for the purposes of qualifying for banking that you otherwise didn't qualify for, or lending that you otherwise didn't qualify for, congratulations, you have just committed bank fraud. All right. Alex says, what should I do about old cell phone bills such as Verizon? All right, verification letters to the credit bureaus, validation letters to the collection companies. Hey, Tiff, thanks for putting the consult scheduling there. All right, does anyone else have any other questions? We've gone through a lot of really good stuff on this Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras, and day before Valentine's Day, a little session of this thing. It's kind of wild. Sometimes when I open this thing up to just free questions, we'll get, 45 minutes like we've got today, or we'll get nothing. So this is an opportunity. Natalie says, so is there a difference in the amount of time a creditor can report to bureaus and the amount of time that the debt is legally collectible? Didn't realize that. Assume the time frames are the same. That's a great question, Natalie. Yeah, so every state's got its own statute of limitations for action on a debt, for when lawsuits can be filed and nastiness judgments and things like that. Basically statute of limitations for the collectability of a debt. In Minnesota, for example, we're located in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul here. In Minnesota, the statute of limitations on collectability is 6 years. But for being reported onto your credit report, a credit item can stay there for 7 years, actually technically 7 years and 180 days from the DOLA, the date of last activity on the account. So those are two separate things. Some states, the collectability is as short as 3 years. Great question. Credilife info. Credilife info. Tiffany put a link there for Credilife info on how to schedule a initial consultation. Heck, dude, that's almost half of society. Yeah, that's about right. But guess what? No, half of society doesn't. Half of society doesn't do that. It is better than that. I'm not that pessimistic. Ray Marie says, when buying a house, do you always have to place a down payment? What can be the lowest down payment? What do you recommend down payment be? Okay, I'm not currently a mortgage professional. Talk to a licensed mortgage professional, but there are a number of programs that go up to 97%, some higher. There are down payment assistance programs. What I would do is I would tag Brian Kurzweil. He is a FICO certified mortgage loan officer with TCF Bank and a member of the free credit repair advice group. He'll be able to give you more insight into that. Amanda says, that statute of limitations based on where I live and the debt occurred. Technically, it's really based on where you are right now, because that's where they have to sue you. Susan says, why is 7 the magic number? Because that's what the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the FCRA, the federal guidelines that allow us to dispute this stuff, that the federal guidelines that have the Consumer Protection Act, that's what they dictate. If I 609, do I reset the date of last activity? What about if I call them? Yeah, you can reset, Mark, the date of last activity. It can be done. 609 letter won't do it. But if you do anything literally saying, yeah, this debt is mine, and I want to negotiate a settlement or something like that, yeah, you can reset the date of last activity, meaning they can report it and they can do action on it. Also, if you make a payment on an old collection, even a $5 good faith payment, you reset the date of last activity and you reset the statute of limitations. Danielle says, if someone's trying to buy a house in the next month, can I just pay off collections and verify? If you pay on the collections, your score will drop. Loan guy claims their score isn't going to go down, so it's fine. Your loan guy's a freaking moron. Your loan guy's an idiot. They really don't know FICO. If they're saying pay on a collection and it's nifty and your score won't go down, if they're saying give a new date of last activity to a negative account and your score won't go down, they're a crackhead. Seriously. Now, if it's a requirement from underwriting, that's a different animal. So if on the what's called the STIPs, the stipulations, the underwriting stipulations, basically the list of things that underwriting is requiring to do, if you're being stipped to pay off a debt, that's a different animal. That means you're requiring, or they're requiring you to do that for close. But if this idiot thinks that paying on it's going to raise your score or not cause the score to go down, the dude is legitimately a crackhead. To me, this sounds so backwards. Fantastic, you understand it. Terrell says, if I have a total of $50,000 limit over 10 cards, you want to do 1 to 3 on each card. It's not really so much a cumulative. Jessica says, hi. Well, hi. I finally get to see a live one. Good, you made it. Xavier says, I live in Pennsylvania. I'm ready for your help. Counseling by credit. Awesome. Set up a time. You go ahead and schedule a time. I'm getting dinged like crazy. Go ahead and set up a time, and we'll get you in for a consult. Hold on 1 second. So class is tomorrow. First, we're going to print inside, parent. Hold on 1 second. Do daughter stuff. I sign it and send it home with her. Got another daughter coming back from cheerleading national. You know that ESPN thing when they got the cheerleaders jumping all over the damn place and that stuff? She went down to that at Disney. She's flying in tonight at 10:30 p.m. so I don't get to celebrate Mardi Gras, which I'm real happy about. But I guess they did well, and thank God for fundraising. All right, sorry. That's how you can tell this is live. Should I take anything out of the freezer for tomorrow? Filet. All right. Sorry. Valentine's Day is coming up too. And when you got 7 kids, Valentine's Day means what are you going to cook at the house? All right. Let's see. So I live in Pennsylvania, Rayville. Perfect. Here's the CrediTV link from Mark. Yeah, you guys can tell this is called live programming. Ray Marie, look into NACA. No down payment required. It's processed, but it works. NACA's not bad. You want to look into some community programs too. NACA's not always the best overall program, but it also doesn't suck. So you can go either way there. Jorge Jimenez, right now my longest credit history is a personal loan from my credit union, and it can be paid off right now if I want to pay it off. Do not pay it off. If that's your longest thing, just drag that sucker out. You want to keep active, long depth of credit going. Yeah, so there you go. NACA.org. Okay, yeah, I'm cool with that. If I move the different state, will the statute of limitations change? Yeah, it can. There's Tiffany posted Credilife. Chris, wow, thanks for explaining the underwater versus loan thing. Yeah, okay, I had that with my last car. I traded a car in that I owed, I don't know, maybe I owed like 10,000 or 10,000 on 8,000 or 15. I know I should totally know this, and I apologize for not knowing this. Or 15,000 on like a 10,000 car over. I just have them stack it on my new loan. But then again, I went in there right after eye surgery, and I don't remember buying a new car. and they called me at work on a Saturday morning. I was with all the guys, and they said, your car is ready, and I had absolutely no recollection of it. So make sure that you're not heavily sedated when you go buy the car, because you might not come out with as good of a deal as apparently I did. I threw $10,000 in cash down on some guy's desk, and I said, make it work, and I'll see you Saturday. So I like legitimately have no memory of this. But glad I could help. And don't walk around with 10 G's in cash either. That's like a stupid idea. Ray Marie said, I honestly only just wanted to play pinball down at Apple Valley Ford because they got a Mustang pinball machine. They give you free soda and popcorn. So, yes. Ray Marie, you're welcome, but call them. Give NAC a call. They're not terrible, but I would definitely say talk to Brian Kurzweil too. He'll be able to set you on the right path, and he too is FICO certified. Yeah, you guys like my car buying story? Trust me, I'm a consumer just like the rest of you, and we've all done some really stupid things with our credit. Ray Marie says, are home ownership programs only for single first-time home buyers? I'm married. No. Not for single, not for first-time homebuyers. There's all kinds of neat programs available for people. I'm married. This will be our second home together. It's first in his name. No, you should be good to go. All right. What other questions you guys have? Otherwise, I'm going to wrap this up and drink my shake from my diet that I get to have. Apparently, the old ones tasted like burning tires, but these new ones kind of taste like phlegm. It's isogenics, though, so apparently I'm supposed to turn isogenic from it and robotic or whatever. What's the mortgage guy? Here, I'm going to tag him. Brian Kurzweil. Good guy. Brian Kurzweil has formerly been a FICO certified credit coach. He was stolen away for TCF home mortgages when TCF bought out Rubicon. He's a hitter. He is the only FICO certified mortgage loan officer I've ever heard of in the country. So that's kind of a big deal. So there, I tagged Brian for you. Ingrid says, 2 credit card and 1 Zales card and $170,000, which is in deferment and student loans and a car note payment. What can I do to raise my score? Okay, you got the car note. Car note's looking good. You're doing good on the credit cards. Ingrid, are you doing 1 to 3% monthly spend on the credit cards, doing the credit machine thing that Chaz Earthram did the video on? Please let me know, because that 1 to 3 is going to be huge for you. Tiffany said, to be a first-time home buyer, you can't have a mortgage active for 4 years, so it's not necessarily your first home. That's true. Yeah, ooh, yeah, it's nasty. Those shakes. If you can't tell looking at me, I've never really done a whole lot of dieting, and getting fat is so easy. It is so easy. There's buffets and buffets and like lobster sauce and stuff like that. Losing weight? That's terrible. I don't wish this on anybody. That's a hell of a thing. No one should ever have to do this. It's terrible. All right. Ray says, if something's affecting my credit negatively and I already started paying on it, can I still remove it? Yeah, actually you can. If you investigate with the bureaus, it can get removed. Thanks. You're welcome. All right. Rick said, how can I remove 3 paid charge-off collection accounts from my report? Rick, go to the files section. If you are on a computer, the files section is up here. If you are on a mobile device, you're going to have to actually swipe it over, but the file section is over there. And you're going to want to look for the sample investigation letter, investigation and dispute letter, and you'll want to utilize that. Otherwise, you can hire us, hire the SWAT team, and we'll take care of it for you. Laura says, in Philly, you can do it every 3 years. Well, there you go. Ingrid says yes. Jorge Jimenez, car buyers, don't go to CarMax. Amen, brother. Can't pay anything on the principal. Yeah, CarMax, and we have Car Hop in Minneapolis. You go in there and they'll sell you a $2,000 car for $11,000 with $3,000 down. Don't do it. Getting fat is easy and fun. Amen, Mark. It was. Oh, and it was easy. It was fun. And there are not enough buffets in Vegas for me. Trust me on this one. Don says, my husband was an authorized user on 2 of my cards and then later removed. One account still shows it with general info. Don, honestly, if the history is good, you guys, here's the deal. Okay, the authorized user thing. I dog the crap out of it because I don't like the intent, and I see people in some of these other credit groups giving horrific advice that's dangerous, illegal, stupid. brain damage, lots of great advice. Anyway, I dogged the crap out of it. Authorized users serve a purpose. I've got my wife as authorized user on the Victoria's Secret card because I look like crap in a thong. However, she looks phenomenal in it. So she's the authorized user for the Victoria's Secret card. She can go to Victoria's Secret, buy the thong. I don't have to wear the thong. And you don't want to see me in the thong. So she's legitimately authorized to use this account and uses the account. I even got a card issued in her name. Same thing goes with Kohl's. You know, Kohl's Cash, and you get it back and you go school shopping and the kids and the Kohl's and all that crap. So she can go there. She's an authorized user. And it shows up on her credit, but she's legitimately using it. We're not, you know, there's no purpose behind it other than what it's actually for, to be an authorized user on the account. People who add people to other people's credit for the sole purpose of qualifying for something they don't qualify for, well, that comes down to intent. So yeah, so Don, to finish on your topic before I went sideways on it, if they're showing as an authorized user, if it's positive pay history, just leave it be. Airplane instructions, yeah, exactly. Buffets are a killer. Sushi buffet should be, oh, I did sushi buffet for lunch. Now, sushi's lean, and there's a complex carbohydrate somewhere, and fish. That's all I took away from that. And seaweed, and soy. Happy Mardi Gras from New Orleans. Oh, Ingrid. Ingrid. I love it. God bless you. You are where I should be right now. I have not been down to the Mardi Gras in forever. I used to stay back. I always stayed at the, what was it? It got messed up in the hurricane. Then they did a remodel. It was supposed to be like $7 million. It was like $7 trillion. It used to be the Fairmont. Over in the business district. That was my go-to hotel because it was kind of like, you know, it was beautiful location for the parties, for Oedipus and for Poseidon, for Zulu, and you know, so you could watch the parades, and then it was, you know, crawling distance because you're down the end by Popeyes and by was it the Redfish Grill. You're down the end of Bourbon there, and it's crawling distance back, which you need, because it's Mardi Gras and you've been drinking, and so you may very well actually be crawling back. But no, I am. You have no idea how envious of everybody who's down in the quarter right now I am. Like, you have no clue. All right, I live at Kohl's, Cat. Yeah. I've heard, Mark. I heard Kohl's is finally having a sale, consecutive sale since 1974 to current. Use your card, make payment right away at the residence. That's a great. By the way, that's great, Mark. You use it. Here's the thing: as we get built up in our credit, let's say the Kohl's Cash thing. My shopping trip to Target or my shopping trip to Kohl's takes an extra 5 minutes. I stop by customer service and I pay off what I just spent. So I get 5% off at Target, and all I have to do is stop at customer service at the way out and pay my bill. It's that simple. Kohl's Cash, same thing. Bad history, closed accounts. Okay, if it's a bad history, yeah, get off on the authorized user thing. It's super easy to get off the credit. Investigation letter, sometimes you can call them, have it taken off. That's a nice way to do it. Mark, let's see. Ray-Marie says, is there anything you can do about judgments already made? Thankfully, I haven't been garnished, but it's hanging over my head. Oh, boy, there's so much you can do. You're going to want to talk to a pro. A lot of times I'll say talk to a lawyer. It depends how much it is. Sometimes you can work out a settlement. That's one place where I would suggest you want to at least do a consult and get some professional help on it. A Credilife consult isn't going to hurt you to talk to a pro on that one. Laura says, I added my daughter 16 to all my credit cards as an authorized user to help establish credit. Well, that didn't do anything because you don't have credit until you're 18. I'm going to say it again. You don't have credit until you're 18. Why don't you want her to have her own? You're on a hot button with me, Laura. You are on a hot button with me. It's a bucket of stupid to do what you just did. Quite frankly, it's a bucket of stupid. Number one, if she gets her hand on your card, you're in trouble. You are in so much trouble because you have legally given her the right to go max every credit card that you put her on. Secondly, if anyone, you know, at the age of 18 sees a history more than a month on her credit report on an account, they're going to think she's committing fraud, and that will be frowned upon. What I would do, if I were you, is what I did with my daughter, who has a 780 and she's 21 years old. I would start her off with a credit card at the age of 18. and do a 1 to 3% balance limit ratio, spend on it monthly, and payment on it, set it up to auto pay. I would set her up with something like self-lender, an installment account, and I would set her up with a small retail card that can be used somewhere she typically uses, and I would teach her responsible spending. I would teach her responsible use of credit. What you're doing is called enabling. It's completely different. All right, Jorge says, best credit cards. I got Cap One secured card. Think you get one with Wells? Yeah, Wells is nice. They won't let me in their banks, but that's another story for another day. I've read about knowing what your goal is, mortgage buying, etc. But what about security clearance for my job? Amen. Shady credit report needs to be fixed. Next renewal of clearance. Yeah, if you got security clearance, you have got to have your credit clean. If you need security clearance, you have got to have your credit clean. Yeah, Don, I've worked with a lot of folks in that situation. I've been able to do a couple things. One is we've been able to get cleaned up for the security clearance. But number two, if it's a timing issue, we've been able to write a letter, and I'm talking even for military and stuff like that, saying, look, they're in this program. Here's what we're working on. Here's the educational steps, the credit development steps, and things like that. And that's actually been enough for some security clearance levels. So yeah, that might be something you want to reach out to Credilife for. Laura says, Jorge, be selective with your cards. Creditcards.com is great. Oh, no, Laura. No, stop. Okay. Hold on one second. One second. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Navy's great if you're in the military or if you're a relative. Discover's terrible. Cap One's okay. Creditcards.com is a trap. It's clickbait. You can get cheaper interest rates and cheaper things like on the cards by going directly to them because it's an affiliate program. So yeah, no. 1 to 3% for the major cards or the retail cards. If you're doing a month to month on a retail card, I always tell people do 1 to 3 on the retail cards. Also, it does help. Ray Marie says, I want to pay my cards down. Do I make one big payment down to 1 to 3%, or a couple of payments to get it down? If you get it down to 1 to 3%, one big payment, the sooner the better. The sooner you're down at that low balance to limit ratio, the sooner you will the sooner you will actually hold on a second, and that's right, little administrative business. All right, so yeah, pay them down as fast as you can. The sooner the better. The sooner you're rocking that 1 to 3% monthly, the better off you're going to be. Why is Discover horrible? It's just got bad terms. We've had more people in trouble with this. You know, let's just say it doesn't pay to Discover. It's not. Okay, it's not horrible. It's not horrible. It's just not a really good. When you're trying to kick this thing back off, it's not always the best starter card. The benefits that it has, like the 1% cash back and stuff, if you're literally spending $3 to $9 a month, it's not going to be worth it for you. So while Discover is one of your forever cards. Discover is not one of your kicking it back off cards. So you don't want to go up through the ranks of Discover. You'd actually rather come in storming when you get your credit better, if that makes sense. Once credit's good, Discover is an awesome card. But up until that point, they don't climb the tree very well. All right, let's see what else we have. Any other questions? I've been going for quite a bit tonight. I mean, this has been straight Q&A activity. Perfect. All right, if there isn't much else, best starter card, in my opinion, the Cap One secured card. Capital One secured card, best starter card out there. Reason being, really fair terms. It only requires a $200 security deposit instead of a $300 like most secured cards. That security deposit is refundable. That security deposit, here's how it all kind of goes. Okay, so they may partially underwrite, depending on your credit, your security deposit. So you might have to put a $49, a $99, or a $200 deposit in to get a $200 credit limit. They don't have nasty fees like a lot of them. And usually, if you've paid your payments on time, played nice in the sandbox, and everyone's happy, and you've done good things for usually around the 6-month point, they'll often refund you your $200, raise your credit limit, and congratulations, you now have an unsecured card. It is really the best credit development card. Do you suggest a specific counselor for security clearance for credit? I'm good. Chris is good. Rick's good. Chaz is. I mean, yeah. Basically, we all have each other's back, so it'll probably end up on my desk anyway. So yeah, just Donna, whoever you get, we'll be able to rock you out. I've got templates for the letter already. Keisha says, "What can I do about cleaning up my credit? I have a few charge-off and one repossession." Keisha, start off with investigating the information with the credit bureaus. Verify, validate, document, put the burden of proof into the hands of these creditors that everything's accurate and factual and current and correct, verifiable today, not back when they reported it, but today. Because if they can't do that, if they can't do it in the right time, the prescribed time, then by law, they have to permanently delete that from the credit profile. That allows you to tackle things in a much different way with a fresh view on the credit profile. So that's really where you want to start. Hit our files section of our group. A lot of great files in there, letters for you to use, sample templates. If you find it way too overwhelming, or if you want to hire a professional, check out Credilife. Nay says, should I ask for an increase in credit limit or wait with Capital One? Well, it depends on your goal, depends how things have been. They're going to do a hard inquiry if you go for an increase. So depending what you're trying to achieve and how soon you're trying to achieve it, you may or may not want to do it. Mark says, my jeweler's club, bad, good. It's kind of crappy. It gives you a big line of credit. If you need something like that, and we're talking into lenders of last resort at this point, but if you need that, we actually recommend Hutton Chase and have a link that you can utilize for that. It's going to do a lot more for your credit. Susan says, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Hey, thank you. Nay says, thank you. Jessica, if they can't validate the debt and it gets removed, can it end up on your report again? Yes, Jessica, if they sell it to somebody else, that new creditor can put it on your credit. So after you get it deleted, that's the time to strike. That's the time to negotiate a really sweet settlement. Donna said, so would a married couple both with security clearance? Couple for pricing. What's the best beginner credit card? In my opinion, it's Capital One. Patrick says, I currently have a Cap One unsecured and was recently declined for Discover IT. Rick said, don't ask for the same card company for another one for 6 months. Yeah, they hold on to your declination usually. But my coach's discretion, it's advisable to go to Cap One for another one. Maybe 2 for a round of profile. Yeah, you want 2. Follow Rick's lead on that one for sure, Patrick. Tiff's got Hutton Chase. Dude, Tiff is a ninja, you guys. That Hutton Chase card, Tiff put a link for it. Xenia said, I had applied for a Capital One card. They wanted me to send them my annual wages, so I did not send the info. Oh, no, give it to them. Cap One's legit. All right, you guys. Well, it is Mardi Gras. I'm going to take some relaxation here. I am going to get some pre-Valentine's Day things accomplished. I totally did really, really bad at Valentine's Day last year. Like, you don't even want to know. So I've been making it up to my wife over, I made her birthday a 4-day event on the 2nd, and I'm getting things, just some final things wrapped up for tomorrow. I wish you all the same. I hope that credit is not breaking your heart this Valentine's Day. Hopefully it's a person. Actually, I hope your heart's not breaking, because that sucks. And don't have a heart attack. Basically, eat healthy, diet and exercise, avoid the buffets, don't get fat like I did, because then you have to diet, and that sucks. Try to keep your heart healthy. Make sure your credit's healthy. And if you're looking for help with your financial wellness, here's my plug, my commercial. If you're looking for help with your financial wellness, you want to get your credit in shape to buy your first home, to achieve your goals, trying to get a better holistic approach to your overall financial development, credit development, your budget, student loans under control, you cannot do better than the Credilife Financial Wellness Program. Check out our link. We do initial consultations for enrollment at no cost, and Credilife is the proud sponsor of the free credit repair advice group of CrediTV, and it is my employer. So God bless them for that. If you have not, if you've enjoyed this and you think there's value in it, if you have not yet donated to our Haiti mission trip, we actually are sending an actual missionary. It's one thing to send money somewhere. We're sending a missionary with it to Haiti live to bring clothing, to teach teachers there how to be better educators and deal with children. And we actually have the opportunity to feed starving children. If you have not donated to that, please do so. And hold on one second, just throwing down a tag. Boom. Boom. If you haven't donated to that, please do so. Every dollar matters. Remember the $6 you spent on a Starbucks today, or the $3 you spent on one of these things. $3 on one of these things would feed 12 children for a day in Haiti. Okay, we've got a partnership with Feed My Starving Children. We're able to feed them a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner of high nutritional things that are kind of lined up and balanced for people who have been starving. 25 cents a day per kid. So I mean, we've exceeded the amount that we needed, the $1,500 baseline, to get a missionary into Haiti, and now we're trying to save lives. So our hashtag for Credilife is changing lives. Our hashtag for our Haiti mission is saving lives. All right, so for the free credit repair advice group for Credilife, for our Facebook Live here at CrediTV, I am Jeremy Deysach, FICO certified credit coach. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Mardi Gras. Laissez le bon temps rouler.